All right. We are back again. This is MRK SX with another episode of Confessions of a Failed Family Man. And I have with me today again, Brittany. We had such a really good conversation the last time and kicked up a little bit of dust, And it was really cool to see. And she mentioned something. I watched that interview again, and you talked about dealing with people in your life that had addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And right around the time I watched it again, I had done a short talk about someone in my life that had dealt with addiction issues and how it kind of intersected. And I realized based on the comments that I don't currently live around anyone with
Mm-hmm.
addiction, but almost to the point of where I forgot about this, because it's just not a part of my life. And I noted that it is really still a really big part of a lot of people's lives. And then I remember what you talked about, and the fact of where we didn't talk a whole lot about where you're from and the fact that you're half native. We didn't really go into those
Mm-hmm.
things, but there's a lot of stigmas. I think what we just talked prior, like there's a lot of stigmas with that, and some of them turn
Yeah.
out to be actually kind of true, you know.
Yeah.
So I just kind of, I'm gonna give you the floor, reintroduce yourself to everybody, and then if you can, just kind of take me back to when you were a kid, when you realized addiction was a thing. Maybe it could be a person in your
Yeah.
life or just sort of a situation. So go right ahead. Go right ahead.
My name's Brittany. I'm happy to be back. I'm excited. Sorry. I'm from Utah, born and raised. I'm half native, half Navajo, half black. So my mom's actually Navajo and my dad, he's black. When we're registered tribe members, I grew up with addiction my whole life, even when I didn't recognize that was a thing that was going on. And for a long time, I actually
Mhm.
didn't know that that was a thing that was
Mhm.
going on.
And these people were primarily addicted to what, or was it just various things?
Um, so alcohol and hardcore drugs. There has been some like pill addictions, but eventually
Mhm.
that phased into doing harder things.
Mm. So I was introduced to addiction. Man, I don't want. Okay, I'm not gonna say names of people and who they were in my family. I'll say it like this: the way it was introduced to me was I used to be babysat somewhere,
Hmm.
and there was an individual that was connected with that home that would pop up at different times of the night, often in the middle of the night, and wake up the person whose home this was,
Right.
and essentially beg for money. And I didn't know what that was about, but I knew it was really scary. It was always
Yeah.
scary because it was like, I need this money, or someone's gonna do something for me. Things would go missing in the house. It would be like, can I borrow this? Can I borrow that? And this is like 5 and 6 years old. I'm saying this.
Hmm.
Can I borrow this? Can I
Yeah.
borrow that? And just kind of understanding that this, like, something was up with this person, like something was going
Yeah.
on with them. And then later, I would get around other places. My mother she was a single mother, so somebody else was always watching me when I was
Yeah.
growing up, and it would be like, um, I'm gonna take my Nintendo. Like no, don't take that. You know what I mean? Because such and
Hmm.
such is over there, and they might take it. And I'm as a 7, 8, 9 year old, I'm making sense of this. Like, don't have nice things around this person and that
Yeah.
person. And it was kind of like a joke almost. It was like a run because these people are addicts, but they also have functional familial roles within the family. So it's kind
Hmm.
of weird, right? It's like you got to be scared of people that you see all the time. They
Yeah.
cool, they cool outside of the thing, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, what were some of your early experiences with that?
So if you ask my mom and my sister, I didn't wake up until I got pregnant with my first at 16. So like
Really?
essentially meaning like whatever was going around me, I was
Mm,
like in La La Land. I was walking through
mm,
the world in rose-colored glasses.
mm,
These things did not faze me.
mm,
Um, so as early as I can remember, I've always known most of the males on my mom's side of the family were alcoholics. But at the
mm,
time, it didn't click to me. I knew that my uncles drank a lot.
mm,
There would be situations where there were conflicts. As young
mm,
as me being like 6, 7, I can go back. But it didn't occur to me then. I didn't even know what addiction was or
mm.
alcoholism was.
You
I just
didn't
knew,
connect it to the fact that they drank a lot, and so that's where a lot of these issues
yeah.
came from. It's just normal.
Even with my dad being in and out of prison my whole life,
Mm,
and it was always drug related, I never knew that that was the reason until I was older.
mm.
That
And he
that's
would
what.
be what for like for possession? Is that why he was going or
I believe
sex?
so. I'm not a
Or,
hundred
or you
percent
don't know?
sure,
Okay.
but I'm pretty sure it was possession.
And
Um,
see, and see, I don't know if it was the same for you, but it was weird because like smoking weed was like a thing
mhm.
that I kind of for some reason knew wasn't as bad. I don't
Yeah,
know, like everybody kind of did that. It
yeah,
was like cigarettes, and then it was weed, and then it was like I'm an 80s baby. So like crack came when I
hmm,
was little, and I knew crack was whack. Like I knew crack was
yeah,
whack. I did know that. They preached that, say no to drugs, like, but they were really saying say no to crack.
hmm,
Um, and we would like step on crack pipes, going to the store, and like little crack vials, like
yeah,
things like that would be in the street. But I remember cocaine, and I remember it not being good, but not as bad as crack. It was like if
hmm,
somebody had cocaine, it was it was like you'll put that away, But if it was crack, it was like, oh, you a crackhead, like it was
yeah,
funny or something.
yep.
Um, so was it kind of similar for you that there were levels to like what people would use or whatever?
Not till I was older. Like I said, it
Okay,
just
okay,
none of that really clicked to me. If even in the times that my dad was around, if he was high when I was younger, I had
mm-hmm.
no idea. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
to the point to even as an adult, I can't
Mm-hmm.
ever say that I have seen my dad high. I probably have,
Really?
and I just never recognized it because to me that's his norm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've told my sister this, and she's like, "Oh, I've definitely seen it," but I couldn't tell you for me if and when it happened. Um, and it really wasn't until I was probably like 14, 15 that I recognized that my dad was an addict,
Mm-hmm.
um, or even knew what it was that he did. And like my
What was
dad smoked weed.
what was the emotional ramifications of you finding out he was an addict? Like how did that make
Um,
you feel?
so in the time frame, I didn't really feel a whole lot about it because he wasn't around, but I do
Mm-hmm.
remember one specific time frame in my life
Mm-hmm.
where like it really hit me. It was, I want to say it was 13 or 14,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lot of stuff going on in my house in regards to me and my sister. We were getting into a lot of trouble. um
Mm-hmm.
we had actually, me and my sister had, um I don't remember what happened.
You just knew y'all were in trouble.
We got in trouble two
Okay.
different separate occasions, like they weren't
Mm-hmm.
associated at all.
Mm-hmm.
um and I remember laying asleep, and at the time we lived in a very, very tiny apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just thinking about all this stuff and thinking about my dad. And I broke down crying. It's the middle of the night. I'm sleeping. Well, everybody else is asleep. I'm clearly not asleep, but just crying and thinking, why doesn't my dad love me? Why doesn't he? Why is he not here? Why are these things? Why are these drugs more important than being here for
Mm-hmm.
me? And I had that instance one time. It's never, I processed it, and kind of moved on from that.
Were
I
you were
never,
you and your sister talking about that at that time?
no,
Okay, it's just
everybody
something
was
you dealing
asleep.
with.
Like,
Okay.
yeah, nothing had even came up. It's just something I was thinking about, like all of the trouble that I had gotten into
Mm.
and everything that was going on. And that just so happened to be a thing that I thought of. It's like,
Now,
where the F is my dad?
where did you live in reference to the reservation growing
So
up?
I never lived on the reservation. I've just
Mhm.
visited. So even though the reservation does come into Utah, we I've never personally lived on the
Okay,
reservation. I don't live on the reservation now. I
okay,
live northern Utah, like
gotcha.
closer to Salt Lake. I'm about 20 minutes out of Salt Lake.
Is there any truth to the stigma of natives having issues with alcohol?
I would
Is
definitely say yes. And it's actually kind of insane that that's a thing,
hmm
because on the reservation you can't purchase alcohol. They don't sell alcohol on the
really?
reservation.
Didn't know that.
Even, yeah, there's a Shoshone reservation is in Idaho, like 3 hours away from here. They have a
Mhm,
casino there,
mhm,
and things like that. In their casino, they do serve alcohol, but you can, and this is actually the case in a lot of Native American casinos. If they serve alcohol, you can't pull it from you can't leave the bar area. They don't serve it like in Vegas where you can just walk around.
mhm,
You have to stay in this designated place. So it's
hmm,
kind of interesting that, that's a big thing for natives. When
mhm,
you're not even, technically it's illegal on the reservation. You're not even supposed to have alcohol, but it's not
hmm.
something that's like highly enforced.
It's
Everybody
interesting.
knows you go off the reservation, you get your beer, come back.
Yeah, it's just part of it. It's just
Yeah.
yeah, like drugs are not drugs not legal in Amsterdam. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
marijuana is not legal in Jamaica. Like you said, it's
Yeah.
just kind of it becomes part of the culture, and that's what it is.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Before they normalized or legalized marijuana here in Utah,
Mm,
we went to Jamaica because my
mm,
ex husband, he's half Jamaican. So we
mm.
went there and they were just sparking it up
Smoking
everywhere.
it
And I'm
up,
like,
man.
what is going on?
So it's part of the local economy. Like it is what
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. Now, was your father the only one? Did you have any other family members that struggled?
No, so his mom,
Mm,
she's an active addict to this day. So is his sister.
mm,
His brother, he has came in and out of sobriety.
mm,
A matter of fact, so my dad passed away in 2013, August of
mm,
2013. Um, my uncle kind of took a deep dive into his addiction, trying to prove a point in regards to my dad's death. So they're actively still full on their addiction. My
wow.
dad's side, um, I have three uncles that are still alive. Two of them are not alcoholics, but one of them, he actively is still, he's a functioning alcoholic. And the males that are alcoholics on my mom's side of the family are
Mhm.
all, they were all functioning. Um, my
Would they say they're alcoholics, or is that just your assessment?
They wouldn't say they are,
Okay.
but
Oh, okay. Okay.
these are people that drink. My uncle, he drinks every day,
Mm,
morning to night.
mm,
My grandpa passed away in 2021, I want to say.
mm,
Um, and we cleaned out my grandpa's house, and there's like a little crawl space. My grandpa and my uncle lived in the same house at the time, and there's a little
mm,
crawl space under, and it was just, when we cleaned it out, full. I mean, boxes on boxes of empty beer boxes and
wow.
empty beer cans. It was damn near packed to the rim.
Mm,
And but yeah, if you ask them, they're gonna say no,
gotcha.
I'm fine. Don't have an issue.
How did your father's addiction inform the way you approached alcohol or drugs as you move on in your life?
So in regards to drugs, because that's, my dad wasn't really, I don't know, I've never even seen my dad drink. Not that
Mm,
I've seen him get high, but I've never known my dad to be a drinker. So as far as that goes, there was no effect. But like drug wise, I'm very big on like, I won't do, the most I've ever done is smoke weed, and that was
Mm-hmm.
very few far in between when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even that now, I'm like, that's not a thing because it gives me really bad anxiety. But like hardcore drugs, I'm like, absolutely not. I don't even want to travel down that road. It scares me, not just for myself, but for my kids because of their own history.
Well, this is interesting, right? Because, as we spoke about last time, you wound up in, your very first serious relationships. These people struggle with
Mhm.
alcohol, right? Do
Yep.
you do you do you make any sort of connection there, or was it just happenstance? That it just kind of.
I feel like so with my youngest.
Uh-oh, I lost you. Where did you go? Where did you go? Oh, she coming back. She coming back. I lost her again. It was just getting good too. Come on in, man. She back, Brittany. Where you at? Where'd you go? Let me see. She coming back. Hopefully she come back soon. Man, it was just getting good. She um there she is. She's back. Uh-oh,
Okay,
not
sorry.
okay. Nah, it's okay. It's okay. But you were saying you had just said my youngest, you start that's where it cut off.
Yeah. So my youngest, her dad, I feel like I should have known. There were signs there that I
Hmm.
just completely disregarded. My two oldest, their dad,
Mm-hmm.
we were when I met him, I was 14 going on 15.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there was no hint or clue, and he wasn't like drinking like that, like
But was he
heavily
drinking
at the
though at that
time.
age?
He was drinking.
Mm-hmm.
We both actually were drinking from time. I think he had drank more than I had at the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I ever got like really drunk was with him. Um, and then after like I had my oldest, and got out of high school, we were drinking more on like the weekends. We would probably drink like every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it kind of built up over time.
When did you
Uh,
notice it became an issue with him though?
it was when I got pregnant with my son. So I got
Mm-hmm.
pregnant with him at the age of 19. And um, I remember I was probably like 2 months pregnant, and my little cousin on my mom's side, her
Mm-hmm.
mom lived right down from us, in our apartment complex. And he went over there. It was New Year's Eve. He went over there,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, I'm going to go over there for like an hour. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to go. I'm pregnant. There's nothing really for me to do, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
tired. He was down there for hours, and it was him and a couple of my other friends, my um my aunt, and he was down there for hours. I had to go down there, I think at like 1 or 2, and knock on the door,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, hey, you need to come home. I don't remember if he did come home immediately or if he stayed a little bit longer, but from that point on, he would he would wake up around like noon or 1, and he would automatically leave to go hang out with his friends, and he would
Mm-hmm.
not come home until about 1 in the morning. And this was a daily thing. And I
Wow.
don't know, I'm assuming he was drinking. I don't know if he was drinking every day at the time. He was definitely smoking weed every day.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so that's really when I noticed that there was a level of a problem. At
Mm-hmm.
that point in time, he still wasn't in full addiction. He did not hit his full addiction in alcoholism until about 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as far as alcoholism. he did have a phase of smoking spice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that happened before the alcoholism. I think he replaced alcohol with spice when he realized he couldn't do that anymore. Because that he almost lost his life smoking spice. Like his
And,
organs were starting
and
to shut down.
how old are you at this time? You talk about how old are your children?
Um,
I mean, are they still like too young to have to explain why dad's not here all day? Like they're still too young for that.
yeah.
Okay.
They were I don't even know if I had Carly, my youngest, at the time.
Okay.
And then it kind of amped up once I had her, or at least once I was pregnant with her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do they understand now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My two oldest, yeah,
Mhm.
they definitely understand. Matter of fact, he got sober. I could be wrong. So I say 2 years, but I could be wrong. Could be 3 years now. And when he got sober, it kind of just happened out of the blue, at least for me.
Mm.
And my when we found out he was sober, my daughter, my oldest, she was like, I think we were told he was like a month and a half, 2 months sober. And my daughter was like, I'll believe it once we hit like 6 months, a year.
Mm.
She was like,
Mm.
it doesn't matter right now.
She
It
had on
matters
them
when.
trauma. I mean, anytime you witness your parents incapacitated as a child, it's traumatic.
Mhm.
Um, it was made very clear to me very early that my mother could not protect me and that she was just as subject to the ills of the world as anybody else. You know what I mean? It was very early. I learned my mom could be a victim too. You know, prior to that, I was watched a lot by my mother's older sister until I
Mhm.
was like 7, 8, and she was murdered. And so like that's why growing up, I was always scared. I just didn't think anybody could protect me.
Yeah.
And I remember this one person's house I used to visit. I did take my Nintendo and some games one time, and I loved that Nintendo and those games. They were like my little quiet place for me.
Yeah.
And the person that I was supposed to be avoiding, I thought that I could outsmart and just like hide the stuff behind a couch.
Yeah.
And he found the bag and he stole. It was like 15 games, and he took all 15, and
Mhm.
he left the game in there though. And when I went to bless you, and
Thank you.
when I went to tell somebody about it, now I don't think I was this old, but I'm gonna say I was 13. I'm gonna say I was like
Mhm.
13. And these adults told me I should have known better.
Mhm.
And the betrayal, I feel it right now.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel it right now. I feel it right now. I was just a kid that just
Yeah.
wanted to play my game. And they was like, then we tell you not to take that around there, such and such, you know how he is. You know, it was like this whole thing of why am I negotiating adult activity?
Yeah.
Like this person I'm talking about was not a kid. This was an adult.
Yeah.
And to this day, I just realized talking to you that I still have resentment over that. Like that's wild. And then and of course, seeing people strung out like the Walking Dead, like people just zombies kind of
Mhm.
walking amongst you every day was normal as a child. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. But you just understand. We had names for them: crackheads, baseheads. Um,
Yeah.
you'd have, once we got like in our lower teens, you'd have these grown women approaching us for sexual opportunities for a few dollars. We just
Mhm.
dribbling down the street going to hoop somewhere. And it's
Yeah.
like, here comes such and such, ha ha, like it's a joke. It's a joke. This shit is traumatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
and,
Oh,
and
I bet I didn't have that same experience,
mhm,
but because everybody that I've dealt with is like personal family
mhm.
people. Um, so I can only imagine. I don't know what I would do if somebody walked up to me and
You know why I never did,
solicited.
you know why I never did drugs? Because when we used to go over to my cousin's house, my mother would sit around my aunts, and when we would get there, they would be one way. It would be, hey, we would all be happy to see each other. We hug, kids go play. And as the night progressed and they started indulging, they would
Hmm.
change.
Yeah.
And the kids and I would all laugh and joke at how they would change. We would even try to manipulate them for like extra candy, or if we could
Yeah.
spend the night, because we knew they were changing. And without fail, at the end of the night, somebody was going to be offended and threaten violence. We
Hmm.
never knew who, to who, what situation, but the night will always end with, okay, it's time to go now. Like they would always indulge until we had to go.
Yeah.
And I could not stand that. And so I
Hmm.
vowed to just stay away from the stuff. Like it just didn't appeal to, it didn't look like fun is what I'm trying to say. Like it didn't
Yeah.
look like fun. It looked like a gateway to nonsense.
Yeah.
And every time I saw violence, every time I heard people arguing, there would always be an ashtray, a bottle. Like it was always connected to all of the times that made me feel unprotected,
Yeah.
as a child. Now, neither one of my parents were addicts, and but talk about the other gentleman you mentioned to me that had struggles as well, right? It was just
My
yeah.
yeah. So my youngest, her dad. So how I met him was
Mhm.
actually drinking with my first baby daddy. So that's why I say there was red flags.
Oh, okay.
Um, and then I mean he would drink every day when we first got together. I
Mhm.
mean, like blackout drunk. And I'm just so young and naive. I think I had Carly at 22. I met him when I was 19. I
Mhm.
met him before I even had my son. So, and we would drink together on the weekends. So there was definitely red flags. But me being young
Mhm.
and dumb, just not seeing these. Even if I
So
did
you
see
guys
it,
would be
I
drinking
was
together. Y'all be drinking together, and then you would stop, and he would just keep going. Is that is that basically
yeah,
how that went?
yep.
Got you. Got you. That had to be scary though. I mean, even though how did him being an addict, like practically, how did that show up in your life on a daily basis? Like how would he act, or would he just not be available to you?
So at first there wasn't really like an impact. Eventually, so this is even before I had Carly. He decided to start hanging out with an ex-girlfriend of his, and he one day he had gotten drunk at my house, and he I left with my kids, and
Mhm.
I left him there because I was just like, this is not a situation that I want to be in. So I left, and he had ripped everything out of every closet, every cabinet, just threw it all over the floor. And we actually spent the night at my two oldest kids, my first baby dad. We spent the night at his house. We came back, and my kids came back with me. We walked into this house together as a unit. And I just remember my daughter saying, "Why would he do this?" And
Mhm.
I didn't have an answer. I was just like, I don't know. So the next day, I clean everything up. The next day, he goes out to his girlfriend's, or his, not his girlfriend, his ex girlfriend, and he goes and drinks with her. I don't know what perspires in that event, but there
Mhm.
was an altercation. And his mom calls me and she's like, he's drunk. He's driving. And he's driving, I mean, like 45 minutes from where I'm at. He has to drive through a
Mhm.
canyon. And she's like, he's coming to your house. And I was like, crap, it's like midnight. I don't want him coming to my house specifically
Mhm.
for what he did the day before.
Right. Right.
So I go outside and I wait for him. And he's like sloppy drunk. And I
Mhm.
take his keys from him because he wasn't driving his car, he was driving his mom's. I take his keys. I was like, you can't come in my house. We can stand out here and talk, but somebody's gonna have to come get you because you can't come into my house. And it turned physical then.
Mm,
He choked me in the parking lot of my complex,
mm,
to the point where I had blacked out. I had peed my pants while I was blacked out, and
sheesh.
he bit my face. And I called the police, but nothing, they never did anything. He never faced charges from that. He actually ran. So what happened was when I woke up, he pretty much was like, we're going in the house. And I lived on the second level of my apartments. So I was like, okay, we can go in my house because at this point in time, I'm scared now. We can go in my house.
Mm-hmm,
But we're going to go to the balcony. We cannot stay in the house because the kids are asleep.
mm-hmm.
And because I peed myself, I was like, you have to wait out here. I'm going to go in here and change my clothes. And I knew I had to be fast. So I called the police and I carried my phone out with me, which is something that I shouldn't have done, but I only had so much time. I knew he was only going to let me um, go in there and change before he
Right.
came in the
Without
house.
trying
And
to
I
follow
didn't
you.
want him to. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
carried the phone out with me. And he knew. He was like, why do you have your phone in your hand? Let me see your phone. So we're wrestling back and forth for this phone. And eventually I just threw the phone. But the police had already heard the
Mm-hmm,
altercation,
mm-hmm.
the going back and forth. So he goes inside my house, locks me outside on my balcony, and leaves. And I don't know where he went, um, because I had thrown his keys when he bit me on my face outside. I had thrown his keys because that's what he was trying to get. And I was trying to get him to get off me. So he didn't have access to his car. I threw my phone and I'm locked out on the balcony. And they never caught him. Nothing ever came about it. Obviously, I went back to him because I had my daughter.
So you didn't. Uh-oh. She froze up. You froze up, Brittany.
He was, sorry,
Froze up. Hold on.
he was,
So you didn't press charges?
so I told them that I wanted to. But I never even heard anything back from the police from the state. Matter of fact, I had to go down to the police station myself the next day and have them take pictures of everything.
So they didn't make
But
a
I never,
report. They didn't make a report when they came out.
yeah, I don't know what happened because I never heard anything back. It was never pursued. And I think it's because they couldn't find him.
Mm,
I never gave them an address. I don't remember them asking me for his address or his phone number at the time. So I think because they couldn't find him, they couldn't arrest him that night.
mm-hmm.
They just, it just kind of fell by the wayside. I don't really know what happened in that situation,
Mm. But you
but he
went down
got
there.
sober.
But I'm saying you went down there. They took pictures. That didn't
Mhm.
lead to an arrest.
No, nothing. I never heard anything after that. And like I had to go down there physically myself and request for a detective to come out and take pictures of my injuries.
Why do you suspect? Why do you suspect that happened? Just what are your ideas on why that probably happened?
So what I think happened when he was hanging out with his ex-girlfriend, he made an advance on her and she turned him down. And I think that made him mad.
No, I mean, why do you think the police
Oh,
didn't take your matter serious? Like, what do you suspect is?
so this is not my first domestic violence situation because like I said, it happened before with my first two kids' dad.
Mhm,
Nothing came of that either. But my dad is very well known in the community that I live
mhm,
in because he's been arrested so many times.
mhm,
If I give my last name to people, specifically the police, they know who my dad is. They're like,
mhm. Oh, I see.
is your dad XYZ? And I hate it. It's embarrassing. I actually don't even go by my dad's last name anymore. When I got divorced, I changed it to my mom's maiden name
Wow.
because of that reason. Um, so I think a lot of it had to do with who I was.
Hmm. Is this a small? I never asked you. How big is the city you from? Like, what are we talking here?
I wouldn't say it's small. I wouldn't say it's
Hmm.
small at all.
In the hundreds of thousands?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Got
But my dad is well known. Even his brother
yeah. I
there.
got you. I got you. Yeah.
He's so well known. I went to get a paper notarized one time in a bank. And
Mm-hmm.
when I got that paper notarized, the guy who notarized, he was like, is your dad so and so? And I was like,
Oh
yeah. And
man.
he was like, I used to work intake at the jail.
Man,
And
Pop,
I
pick up
remember thinking
dust.
like, sir, this is not what we came here for.
Oh man.
Let's move on.
Notarize me, man, so I can get up out of here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. It must be. It's a unique last name, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that you can't hide. You couldn't hide it if you had to change it.
Yeah.
Got you. Got you. Okay. So proceed after that. You know, after you guys went through that, what was the next course of action? You know, on your part.
So we didn't talk for months after that. I don't remember exactly what happened, what
Mhm.
conversation we had to where I ended up saying, okay, we'll fix this. But
But you wanted to fix it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and he was sober for the next 2 years. There's one other time that he did drink in my presence before we broke up.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking in that instance, because I was drinking too, it was me, him, and my cousin. And I remember thinking, I can't drink, I can't overconsume. I can only drink X amount because I have to be alert. I have
Mm-hmm.
to know what's going on because this is the first time we're drinking again since this happened. And
Did you guys talk about what happened?
no,
That's pretty traumatic, Brittany. Like that whole like that whole story you just shared with me with him biting you and throwing the phone and the
yeah.
keys
I
and
think the most was just him saying sorry. We
that
never
was
went
it.
into depth or detail. And I
Wow.
don't think it was something that I wanted to go. It's not some, stuff like that is not something you really want to relive over and
Okay.
over. So I wasn't really pushing to talk about it.
Got you. Okay. But you were cognizant enough to blame that on the addiction. Is that kind of what you did? Were you like, well, you know,
I don't know if I blamed it on the addiction. I for sure blamed it on his drinking, but
okay.
even then, I wasn't recognizing that he had an addiction.
Mm,
Because even then, like, and I don't know why, because like I said, he was drinking every day. There were times where
mhm,
like he'd get blackout drunk,
mhm.
and even in those instances, there would be like some level of aggression, but it was never bad. It would
Was
just
like
be like
that.
we would play wrestle and then he would kind of get upset in the middle of
Okay.
that to where, but it was never anything like that. And I don't know why I never associated that with addiction. I
Mhm.
didn't see his addiction till 5 years later.
Wow.
That's when I recognized, oh, he has a problem
Well,
and it's bad.
is it fair to say a lot of you grew up around a lot of people that drank casually? I mean, did you grow up around a lot of people that drank casually?
No, not really.
Not really.
Aside from my uncles who were heavy drinkers, like my
Mhm,
mom, I've
mhm.
never seen my mom drunk until I was an adult.
Got you.
Um, my aunt, I mentioned in the last podcast, I spent a lot of
Mhm,
time with her.
mhm,
I've never seen her drunk.
mhm,
So at that point in time in my life, even though my uncles were alcoholics, I still
mhm.
wasn't around them on a daily basis. My main connection with addiction was drugs and pills at the time.
Got you.
So I think that's
My grandfather was a functional alcoholic until I was probably 16. He would pop up. I only knew him for being the old man that would pop up at the house periodically.
mhm,
He would come in. He would still have his work clothes on. If I was at my great grandmother's house, he would come in and just go upstairs and go to sleep. And he snored so loud you could hear it through the whole house.
mhm,
And, but he would pop up at my mother's house. He would come in. and he would give me money, and he would sit there and he would just cry. He would just cry and cry and cry, and that's how I knew him. That was he just the old man that would show up and cry
Yeah.
all of the time for years. But he got up every morning and went to go work at Chrysler, whichever car company he works at, and
Yeah.
at some point he got himself together. But again, it was normal, So it's amazing what can be normal, right?
Yeah.
But this is
Yeah.
traumatic. As a kid, you're watching people that's supposed to be protective of you fall apart. Like this, it's not.
Hmm.
It's they're fallible to the world. But anyhow, so okay, so you guys are back together. You were trying to be careful about how you drank with him. That's where that story where I took
Yeah.
you off the path. You can go back to that.
Yeah. So I only ever after that one time 2 years
Oh,
later is
okay.
the only time that
Got you.
I've ever
Got you.
drank. Well, while in a relationship, that's the only time I ever drank with
Mhm.
him again. After not being in a relationship, still before I even recognized that he has an
Mhm.
addiction, I would hang out with him from time to time and drink with him. Very
Mhm.
few far and in between.
Got you.
Um,
Did he ever
but
get sober?
did he what?
Did he get sober?
No, he's still
Oh,
active in his
okay.
addiction
This is
right
the
now.
gentleman we talked about the last time that is
Mhm.
choosing, the way you looked at it more so was like he's sort of choosing that over being a father to the children. I got you.
Yeah,
On average, how often do you see him, or do you see him at all?
I don't see him at all. The last time I saw him was almost 3 years ago. He was in the hospital detoxing.
Okay.
Um, and so the reason why I personally don't deal with him anymore is because it has been a repetitive cycle
Mm-hmm.
where he will get sober for like a week and a half,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even a month. And then, um, he would relapse. And for a while, I would acknowledge, you relapse. It's okay. That's expected. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. We just have to get back up on the horse. And I did it so many times with him. And eventually I was just like, I feel like I'm enabling you too, because I'm making your relapses okay
Mm-hmm.
and normalizing them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I have to stop doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And also being so invested in other people's stuff and other people's life and their drama
Mm-hmm.
was draining me so much that I was like, I have to remove myself. I
Mm-hmm.
can't do this anymore.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense, man. And so you and your children, do you guys talk about him? And I mean, I'm aware from the last conversation that because your other ex is so good, you know what I mean? Everybody's kind of mixed in and all of that's working. But in terms
Yeah.
of this particular gentleman we talking about, is he a topic of conversation often or at all?
No, sometimes I'll talk to my youngest, she'll bring him up,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have to, and this probably happens like once every couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
Really, if that, maybe like once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where she'll bring him up, we'll have to have a conversation. So she's aware that he's sick. She knows that it's drinking. But I don't think she fully understands it. She knows that
Mm-hmm.
he has to stop drinking. Um, and that's pretty much the extent of the
Gotcha.
conversation.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, given the situation, um, I won't rehash it. People can go back and look at the episode. But given the situation, things have worked out pretty well
Mhm.
for the children. I would say because the other father really did a good job of stepping in and taking on that role and being uh, I wonder because he knows what that. Wait a minute, would the other father agree that he was an addict? Would he agree with that, or is that your assessment?
No, oh yeah, he would agree with it,
So he okay.
100%.
So has he ever had any conversations with you guys about the other? You know what I mean? Does he have any sort of input into that? I mean, he would kind of understand, right?
We don't really talk about the other father, and we just kind of talk about his own personal
Got it.
journey with it.
Got it.
Uh,
And that's still that has to be ongoing, right? Like that's
yeah,
not something. Okay.
if we do talk about it, it's just, he's just like, it's unfortunate, it sucks,
Hmm.
but his journey to sobriety is kind of not the same as everybody. He kind of is really fortunate in how he became sober.
Hmm.
um he was in and out of jail for about a year straight,
Hmm.
year and a half. Was in and out of jail. He had a conversation with his dad, who is also an alcoholic.
Hmm.
um he got out of jail. I think he drank for 2 months, had a conversation with his dad. And that conversation that he had with his dad, something that his dad said just clicked. And the next day he was like, not doing it again.
Done with it.
Never
Yeah.
going to do it. So he quit cold turkey, never
Mm.
went back, didn't have help, like didn't do AA, none of that. He just woke up one day and was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So his road to recovery was kind of unconventional compared to other people's. And
Mm.
he just so happened to luck out to where he could wake up one day and say, I'm not doing this anymore. And to
Mhm.
just so happen to never do it again.
Mm. Well, let me last thing is just to rehash when you guys were children. How did you guys have so much access to alcohol like that? Like, what was that? Because you see, you got pregnant at 16. You guys were already kind of drinking. Like, what was the the environment at that particular time?
So the first time that I ever drank with him, I don't know how. I'm assuming the adult that was the house we were at, I'm
Hmm.
assuming that she purchased and provided this alcohol. Um,
Really?
I'm not 100% sure. I never even asked, and I've never asked to this day. Um, so I don't know that one
Mm.
particular situation. As I got older, when I moved in with my kids' dad, I moved in, I think at 17.
Hmm.
And so 17, 18, I might have been 18. No, I was 17 because I was the senior. So I think he had friends. So he had adult friends
Okay.
that he grew up around. They lived in the same apartment complex that he
Hmm.
grew up in. So he had adult friends. I think his adult friends would buy it for him. Once my youngest, her dad, because like I said, we would all drink together, he
Hmm.
would buy and bring it over. Um,
He's
so
a
it's
little
just
older.
these adults.
Got you.
Yeah, it
Got
was just the adults providing
you. Just
minors
was what it
alcohol.
was. I mean, we laughing, but that's troubling. You know what I mean? I mean, it is what it is, and it's wild because to see where just in that short amount of time, relative to when you were that age, how different it is now for your children and how they're looked over and how they're looked after and what
Mhm.
their lives are like. When just not so long ago, things were a lot more loose. you know,
Yeah,
in terms, yeah. So like I said, people should go back and watch that episode. It really is it really worked out in a very charming sort of way for you, is what I'm saying.
yeah,
Because most people, I would venture to say, in your situation at that time, it doesn't go this way. Like the way it's going right now, it doesn't wind
yeah,
up this cool, with everybody.
yeah,
even
yeah,
even with your most recent ex still having interest, and it's you must have some great kids, man. Everybody wants to be around your kids.
yeah. I would agree. I think
You
they're
must have
great.
some great kids. Most people don't want to be around other people's kids, but you must have some great kids, man. So shout out to you. Is there anything else on this particular issue you want to share? Anything at all? I mean, even if it's advice for anyone, anything is fine. If not, I understand that too.
Um, I think really mainly advice. Because like I said, I ignored a lot of red flags. Even further on down the line, I ignored so many red flags. And a lot of it is having to do with um I think insecurity.
Mm,
I grew up not knowing how to say no. I don't know where that came from. I don't know why that's a thing. That's a thing to this day where I struggle with saying no. So allowing these people into your life, like, you have to speak up for yourself.
mm.
Otherwise you end
Setting
up
boundaries. Setting
in
boundaries, is that
these,
another way to say
yeah,
it?
you
Mm-hmm.
end up in these situations, and it affects everybody. Like, when they say watch who you have kids with, I
Mm,
can't stress that enough. Even so, even in the relationship that I just got out of, that person, he would not agree. He, in my opinion, is a functioning alcoholic, and that
mm,
there was domestic violence in that situation as
mm,
well, where um alcohol was involved. And
mm,
how I even ended up in that situation was being so depressed because of my marriage ending, that I put myself in this position that I knew then it wasn't going to work out. I
mm.
knew from the beginning. But again, I walk through the world with these rose colored
Yeah.
glasses on, and I
Mhm.
think people, I really think the best. And I'm not saying that people should walk around and think everybody's shitty,
No, I get it.
but definitely have a guard, pay attention. And even with him, I should have known, because he was drinking every day.
Mm,
Um, and he would time his stuff out for, like, to the point he can take his last drink at this time and have to be at work at this time.
got
He knows he's got to be good.
Once you
Um,
see people planning their lives around drinking, that's pretty much
yeah,
a telltale sign that something is off here, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So paying attention and not making excuses for people.
Hmm.
I've made so many excuses for people. It's
Mm,
insane. And I mean, to say, I can't say that I didn't put myself in these
uh-huh.
situations, because I absolutely did. That's not to say that I'm at fault for the things that have happened because
Yeah,
of,
yeah, yeah.
but I absolutely put myself in these situations.
Mhm.
Um,
How does it
so
inform how you move forward? How does it, in another possible relationship in the future? Do you like how
I,
does that inform the way you choose who to be close to?
where I'm at right now, I have no interest. I have zero interest in being in another relationship. I mean, I
Well,
am
I
completely,
mean, as much as it's like if you notice in the courting stages that this person really enjoys alcohol, like that could be kind of a deal breaker for you moving forward.
yeah,
I would guess.
yeah. I think I definitely need to sit down and have some deep conversations with a therapist, because I don't
Mm,
think even now I hold the ability to stand up for myself and
mm,
say, I see these things and they're not okay.
yeah.
I feel like I very much I would still push these things to the side and make an excuse, or say it's not what I think it is. It's not that bad. This could be fine.
Mm,
Um, so I can't really even say what it would look like for myself
mm.
in the future, because
But
I have to figure
there's a
out.
bravery attached to what you're saying. You like let me pull this car over and kind of
Yeah.
before I keep going, and that's really brave. I mean, people say when you've had enough,
Mhm. And
because you'll stop.
I think the history,
Mm,
and because it is so normalized,
mm,
like I said, I can't, there's probably less people in my life that are not addicts than
mm.
there are that are addicts. And I
Which
think
is which is
because of that,
interesting for you to have these close relationships back to back to back
yeah.
with men that struggle with alcohol, and your father struggled also.
Mhm.
Like there's something to it. I'm not a therapist,
Yeah.
but there's some characteristic, there's some trait that they all exhibit that seems you seem to be drawn to, and it's like
Yeah.
you got to figure out whatever that is.
Yeah. The only relationship that I've ever been in where that person wasn't an addict is my ex-husband. That's the only
Mm,
person
mm,
that was not the
man,
case. And I think it's because it was so normalized in my life
yeah,
growing up. And it was
Yeah.
never really called out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've lost people to addiction,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, I have people in my day-to-day life to this day that are addicts. I
Right.
have very much pulled myself away from all of those parties that I am aware that are addicts,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think that has a lot to do with me, and
Mm-hmm.
more so to do with my kids, because
Mm-hmm.
that it's a big fear. I talk to my kids about it all the time
Hmm.
because of that. I don't know, and I've watched these people, and really the crazy thing is, like, alcoholism is not what scares me. It's the hardcore drugs. That's what really scares me. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's because now where I'm at, I see that, I recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's my biggest fear for my kids. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why that is, because my own personal history is alcoholism, all my relationships and things. But I, if I can shield my kids from this so much to prevent them from walking that same hard path, then that's what I'm going to do. And it's hard because these kids are getting their hands on vapes, fentanyl, like all of these things. Um, it's hard. I
It's
don't
around them.
even.
Yeah, it's around them.
It's a normalized thing that
You
I just
can't
don't
put
understand.
a leash on them. You know, they gonna be away
Yeah.
from you. You know, and just like our parents, they didn't really know us outside of the house. You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
had our own lives and our own friends and the own, and everything. And so, it's look, you're doing the best you can, right? Like you're doing the
Mhm.
best you can, and I'm sure you're looking out as much as you can, and you're trying to keep your eyes peeled, and you're doing the best you can. Listen, I mean, I'm talking to a person right now who has an amazing opportunity to still be whatever she wants, despite everything that's happened up until this point,
Mhm.
would derail all types of people, But here you are, head high, with some good kids, and has a bright future in front of you. I just want to tell you, like, everything's gonna be all right.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, everything's gonna be all right. If somebody would have told me your story without the other side of it, there's no way I would think that I would be talking to this person right now. So
Yeah.
so you definitely are an example of somebody getting off to a kind of a rocky start, but you're figuring it out. And it's super cool to see. Please tell everybody how to get a hold of you if they want to get a hold of you.
So all my social media is it's Brittany bitch. So big Britney Spears fan over here.
Wow. Are you still?
Yes. Yes.
Were you happy when her conservatory was released? You would.
I was happy at the time, and now I'm like, I don't know if this was the right choice. I was rooting for you, and now I'm a little worried. So
Oh man, people are gonna be people. That's for sure. That's for sure. But thank you so much again, Brittany. And did you have fun?
yes,
Yeah. Would you
always.
come back again?
For sure, definitely. I enjoy this 100%. So
Cool. Cool. And I really, really wish your dog well. Okay, like for
thank
real.
you.
All right, for real.
Thank
I
you.
hope I get some
Appreciate
good
it.
news from you about that. All right. Have a
Yes,
great
thank
rest of
you.
your night.
You too.
Peace. Yeah, Brittany's super cool, man. I thank her for stopping by. This is MRK SX once again for Confessions of a Failed Family Man. We had a really, really dope talk on addiction. We could have kept going on and on and on. Put it in the comments, man, if you've had any issues with that or anything you want to add to the conversation. If you're on YouTube, there is merch attached to this video. If you want to support the channel, you can check some of that out. Please like, share, subscribe. I got music. If you stop by www.mrksx.com, you can hop on the mailing list because I will no longer be using Apple or Spotify. New album dropping on the 13th called All Is Well, produced by Illustrate. Last thing, I do not know the answer, but I suspect that compassion has something to do with it. All right. See y'all tomorrow.